Hi. I don't really know what I have to say here. I just know that strong feeling that comes on me that kind of pushes me to go to the journal. And so here I am. I asked I asked my inner self, source, whatever, if I could just have a hint about what it was that was pushing so hard to be said. And the answer I got was it wouldn't matter anyway, because I never say just one thing. So it's a flow, I guess. Here we go. Huh, all right. I've been, I guess it's maybe a while since I've been doing that, but I've been talking about how we need to embrace the dark side of things, of ourself, of life, of whatever. And you might as well go straight to your heart, because this doesn't work at all for your head. The head just flips out over this kind of thing. You know, it wants to be nice and Pollyanna, and you know, people on the spiritual path tend to be that way. We're the worst ones for not being willing to look at the dark. And so, okay, so I've said a few things about that. There in the videos there was a whole series on embracing the dark side. But that wasn't double-barreled stuff. That was maybe more along the lines of getting our feet wet. And not that I know what double-barreled stuff would be, but anyway, things tend to come through me and I only learn this as I look back and read, but they tend to come through me with rather gentle introductions at first. And then they work their way up, like the whole thing with the ETs. Okay, so it was notable this morning when I was having barefoot coffee, doing what I could of sun gazing with the sun hidden behind clouds, that that's a special connecting time. And I think we all know what it feels like to be connected. And there's no better place for it than out in nature, whatever that means where you are. And so there I was, and I was all connected up, and the energy was flowing, and the prayers and the beauty of things. But what was really interesting was the prayers that were coming through me were not for the light beings, not for the good guys, so to speak. This morning, actually, all my prayers were for the other side, the dark ones. And that was kind of interesting, you know, as these things are flowing through, as my life flows through, I'm doing a good bit of observing myself. And sometimes all you can do is say, that's interesting. But I'll share with you just a touch of what that looked like. And I was really surprised. You know, we talk about paradox. And I talk about how when you're getting anywhere near wisdom, a lot of the time she announces herself in some way by paradox. You find things that just flip the mind on its head, and you know, it's interesting. So here I am, and I mean, the prayers were really flowing, the tears were flowing, the sincerity was deeply, deeply there. Now, mind you, I don't even want to come face to face with these beings, okay? So this is really interesting that I'm in this really deep, heartfelt prayer for these guys, right? And my desire for them actually is the same as it is for you, with you know, and that's that they come into the light. It's that simple. I mean, that's an option that anyone can make. It doesn't matter who and what you are. There's no judgment in God. And so, you know, the darkest ones themselves can make the choice to turn around and go the other way. That's always possible. And of course, mostly they're not interested in hearing that. But with things falling apart all over the place on them, as they are, I mean, it's their plans and structures and things that are come tumbling down around us, as well as our own personal darkness. I mean, we're having to deal with that too. But anyhow, it's a really sensitive time. What my prayers have been for the last few days is, in my heart, I've been pondering the dark ones and the situation they're in, and how they're so stuck in mind, and how they're so amazingly arrogant, and what that's like. I mean, and it leaves them stranded with us as their food source all going away. I mean, we're slipping right through their fingers as we awaken, and they can't get us into those negative energies like they're so used to doing, and like we used to be so used to doing. We're just not willing to go there anymore, and so they've lost a serious source of energy right there with each one of us that refuses anymore to be, to magnify and amplify that darkness within our own space, our own consciousness. And so, as each one of us stops our personal pollution of the world atmosphere, that starves these guys out. And they're flipping out, and they're scared. And let's think a little bit more of what it might be like to be on the left-handed path. Those guys have an upline too, and they're not known for being well treated. There's a crassness and a callousness that's amazing. Goes right along with the arrogance, I guess. And so, do you think those guys are happy? I think it's similar. I mean, we're talking ETs or EDs, extra dimensional beings. But I think it's similar to those who are embodied here on Earth in the positions of great power and wealth and authority. Look into those eyes if you care to. I don't care to. But if you look there, happiness is the last thing that you'll find. And so they're not happy. I think that's a given. There's a certain amount of enjoyment, when they get their way and all that. Same with us, we get a certain amount of pleasure, a certain amount of happiness out of a short-term thing that feels good, but then it's gone, and then where are you? So there's no kind of joy, no kind of depth of happiness there. And so you've got a bunch of really unhappy beings with a bunch of really unhappy kind of making things going on all around them. And they're flipping out, and there's expectations that the upline have on the lower ones, the soldier type ones and the peon type ones. And those expectations are around milking us for our energy and making things keep happening the way they've always been. And so we've got a bunch of these guys having to go back and say, I couldn't do it, or it slipped away, or whatever it is, I mean, it just adds to the pressure for them. And so what you've got in sum total, in one sense, is a perfect situation to say, hey, how about considering going to the other side, converting to light, And so I've done some calling in of their wise ones. Most races, whoever they are, just like the human race, we have the sages, the masters, the saints, the whatever you want to call them, down through the years that have spoken wisdom. And that's been recorded. Well, we're no different. They're no different. And so I know they don't want to take anything from some little peon human that's like their milk cow, So I've been calling on their masters and their wise ones, and calling on them to, hey, go consider what they wrote, what they had to say. And, see if you aren't a light being, if you don't have a heart too, and all that sort of thing. So that's where it's been. Mostly kind of keeping a really good distance. Like I say, I'm not inviting any kind of direct encounter with these things, with these guys. But I have been praying for them on and off for quite some time now. I mean, within the last period of awakening, I'm going to say within the last 3 years, maybe less. I mean, things are accelerating so fast now. It seems like in the last 12 months, I've lived at least 3 lifetimes, and I'm not kidding. I mean, the change is so radical, and it's wonderful and all that. But anyhow, okay, so there was a shift this morning that went from praying in a distant way. I've been talking to Prime Creator about it, and I've been saying, hey, from my perspective here, which is 3D and some 4D stuff, I don't see what can be done. They're so locked in the mind. How do you tell a masterful being, tremendously masterful in mind and the ways of mind, hey, that's not the way. You did it wrong. Go back to the start and do it again. Yeah, right. So I've been just sharing my heart with Prime Creator, my concern for them. Prime Creator wants us, God, divinity, energy, a spirit, whatever, give it your own name. In the raising up of 3D, in the lifting up, there's the desire to lift all life up. Not just the good guys. Come on now. Does the sun only shine on the good guys? Divinity doesn't work like that. And so there's the desire to bring us all home, even the lost sheep. I mean, maybe we can look at those guys as the lost sheep that Jesus was always talking about. I don't know. Maybe not. Anyhow, so I've been going to Prime Creator and saying, hey, what can you think of? What's it look like from your perspective, And so I've been making the prayer for the blessing, but saying,